It is Friday Live with Wildy, and this afternoon joining me in the studio for a chat is Ren Pedersen. He's the man behind The Cure Starts Now. He started it up, and that is the reason we are doing Convoy for The Cure on Sunday. And Ren, I know it's really personal to you, and it's a hard subject to talk about, but I thought it's one we needed to actually explain and have you explain what happened to your daughter Amy that led you to actually start up The Cure Starts Now, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Wildy. And mate, great to be here on a beautiful Friday afternoon. I started The Cure Starts Now up, Wildy, after the death of my daughter in 2009. Having said that, I'm not formally involved with the charity. I've sort of tapped out for a little while just to sort of recharge the battery. So I'm just here today as a dad, Wildy, as a dad. And mate, it's a privilege for me to speak to you, knowing that of your interest in important causes. And just thanks from the outset, Wildy. Mate, when she was diagnosed in 2007, she was a perfectly normal kid. She was fantastic at sports and ballet and school. She was a little redhead firebrand. Then all of a sudden she started tripping and just doing little strange things, and we thought maybe her thongs were too big and her shoes didn't fit correctly. So, and then this kind of increased wildly till then she started getting one of her eyes turn, and then she started actually tripping over. And we ran around chasing all different opinions all around town, different glasses, all this sort of stuff. Then we went to a local ophthalmologist, Wildy, and the lady who worked at the ophthalmologist said, listen, get out of here, go and see a specialist straight away. And as it turned out, this particular lady had lost, here in Townsville, had lost both of her children to brain cancer. So she picked up these warning signs, these red flags, very early.
Yep.
Not early enough, but early as we thought at the time. So, mate, then we were sort of rushed. That was Christmas 2007. We were raced down to Brisbane, and it was kind of an emergency situation. And she went through all these X-rays and MRIs, and it came out she had this bloody tumour right in her brain stem called DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, and they're pretty much known as the four deadliest letters in all of cancer. So we were told just to come back to Townsville and more or less get our affairs in order. We tried a few treatments at the time, which were standard sort of treatments, but they made her sicker, and it was hard. And Wildy, over the subsequent, she ended up living 16 months after diagnosis. We tried a lot of out of the box sort of stuff. So we did have some success in that regard, Wildy. But during that time, I travelled around the country, trying to find out who could save my daughter. And I literally would door knock and stick my foot in the door jamb of some of this nation's leading surgeons and oncologists, etc., in the vain hope we could get some new treatment, whatever. So that didn't happen. She passed away in 2009, Wildy, and I learned along the way that these particular brain cancers, for example, brain cancer kills more children than any other illness in Australia.
Yeah.
But it's just an unspoken illness, and most parents just curl up in a corner and just cop it on the chin and attempt to get on with their lives. But when my daughter was dying, I promised her that I'll find a cure for this disease that was killing her. And even up till her very last breath, she looked up to me as the one who was going to save her life. And mate, obviously I couldn't do that. But I made the pledge that I would try, So she passed away, and I asked the people who I had come into contact with, Wildy, what can I do? What do you need as a professional in this realm to help find a cure for this disease? And they had bizarrely, there was not even any samples that they could work with. So these kids were treated with adult treatments and kind of like hypothesis that they thought stuff would work on them. It didn't work on children. So the first thing we had to do, Wildy, was to get actual tumour autopsy samples from deceased children. And I was told that was impossible and the parents wouldn't want it. But I set about asking the parents, because a lot of parents had heard about my daughter's story. So I did know a lot of parents in that field, Wildy. So cut a long story short, we had our first autopsy resection in Sydney from Westmead with Stuart Kelly in, I think, 2010. So for the first time in Australian history, Wildy, scientists could now work on actual cells from a child's brain tumour. So that created this over time, over subsequent years, and we started the Cure Starts Now after I became friends with an American parent, Keith Desserich, and we contacted, and through my business acumen and Keith's experience in charity, we started the Cure Starts Now. Fast forward 15 years to today, we've funded, our seed funding, Wildy, has achieved over $56 million in research, and our Australian brain cancer kids are living longer, and we have a web of phenomenal scientists working here in Australia and around the world, dedicated to saving the lives of children, and for the first time ever, Wildy, giving parents and children hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel. We haven't found a cure yet, but I tell you what, we're bloody close.
It is Friday Live. We're chatting with Ren Pedersen from The Cure Starts Now, ahead of Convoy for The Cure this Sunday. We'll chat some more, mate, in the next 7 or 8 minutes. This is Jebediah.